guys, it's Melanie and happy Tuesday. So today I have a perfect neutral eye tutorial using the Tartelette in Bloom eyeshadow palette. I have had this for quite some time in my collection and recently pulled it out for my beauty basket, so my sort of everyday items that I reach for. And I have not used this palette in quite some time, but was sort of inspired because I love the packaging of it. I really think this is probably one of the prettiest palettes that I have in terms of packaging. But what I really liked about this Tartelette in Bloom is that it gives you some really great neutral shades that are in the sort of more neutral range. There's a cool range, and then there's also some warm shades in here as well. So you're able to sort of go across the rows here or mix and match, which is what I usually choose to do. There are also some shimmer shades in here. There is one dud, which is the Funny Girl. That one just does not really have much color payoff and it's kind of chunky, but these other two shades here, so Firecracker and Rocker, are absolutely beautiful. Formulation on those is much better, but yeah, I realized that I never really did an in-depth review of this palette, but let me just tell you guys just very quickly, I absolutely think that it's worth grabbing if you've always had an interest in it. The Amazonian Clay eyeshadow formulation is beautiful. It applies beautifully with brushes. You can use your fingers, you know, basically any type of natural bristle brush does really well with this formulation of eyeshadow. Synthetic brushes I don't have the best luck with, but natural bristle tends to just grab the shadow a little bit better. The pigmentation is wonderful. Again, I think the color range is really great. And overall, if you know, this was like on a scale of 1 to 10, I would put this palette at about an 8.5. Like, it's definitely one that I really love having in my collection. If anything ever happened to it, I do think that I would replace it. It is definitely something that I've enjoyed using, and I love the formulation, and I do just kind of generally like Tarte as a company as a whole. So yeah, definitely a worthwhile investment here. You can get a lot of different neutral eye looks. I did today decide to use just a small pop of color for those of you who have been asking for more color. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Eyeshadow in Endless Sea, and this is what I used on my lower lash line, so that's where you're getting that little pop of color from. In the video, I mentioned other places where you could use this if you want to intensify the color or just use more of it along with this palette. But this is a really kind of fun color for the summertime. So if you already own this, definitely grab it and use it on your lower lash line. So I hope that you guys enjoy this tutorial. Please let me know if you have any questions, but let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, guys, so pardon my little flyaway new growth here. But let's go ahead and recreate this lovely eye here over on this side. So first thing I'm going to do is take a fluffy brush, and I'm going to go in the color Flower Child, which is this one right here. I'm probably not going to hold this up every time that I change a color, but I will put in the description box down below, along with everything else that is on my face, the colors that I used from the palette today. So see here, hopefully this is a good angle. All right, so I'm putting this all over. I obviously already have an eye primer on, and this acts very similar to the Brulee from Wet n Wild, so it's kind of nice because I can just use this instead of having to pull out the Wet n Wild, which is awesome. Then I'm going to take a blending brush, and I'm going to go in the color Jet Setter, which is in the very first row of the palette. And I'm going to put that in my crease. So again, just working that into where I want the color first and then blending. Grabbing a little bit more. This is a pretty neutral color, so those of you that have a more medium tan to dark type skin tone, you are probably going to want to start with a darker color because this won't show up very well on you. But the pigmentation of these shadows really is amazing, so this is a really great one. Okay. So once I have that in there, that is acting more of like a transition type color for me, honestly, because I'm going to go in the color leader, which is this guy down here. It's kind of a reddish brown. I'm going to get a little bit of that onto my brush. Not really much. I'm essentially just kind of tapping this in here. I don't want to get too much of it because it can get pretty intense pretty quickly. And I'm going to work that into my crease. Mostly over where I put the Jet Setter color. And even work it a little ways into, oh, this brush is poking me in the eyeball. Oh, get off. Again, with my outer corner, I always go up just a little bit above the crease because I like that lifted effect that that gives me. Obviously, make sure you're doing the right thing on both sides. Here we go. Just a little bit more. Can you guys hear Paw Patrol in the background? And if your kids watch it? Then take your fluffy brush and just sort of blend out the edges of that. Okay, so I started by putting Funny Girl into the lid area, and unfortunately this color it's the one dud from this palette in all honesty. So I'm still going to go ahead and put Funny Girl down, but then I ended up going over top with Charmer, which is this white shade right here. So just to keep it consistent, I'm going to do that. And I did use my finger because it just helped with the pigmentation. I really don't like applying shadows with my finger, but with some of them you just kind of have to. Okay, and then go into the color Charmer with your finger as well, or use a brush. So I went from wanting a shiny lid to what essentially is now a more matte lid, because the Charmer shade is definitely a matte color. It's extremely creamy, by the way, and very pigmented, so you're going to have to go back in through the crease with your brush to deepen that up again. So I'm just going to tap into the leader color, which is the dark one that we used, and I'm just going to deepen up that crease again, because that shadow, when you're using your finger, at least me, not that I have like sausage fingers or anything, but I don't have a lot of lid space, so that color can go up a little bit higher than what I want it to. Then what I've been doing for the last, honestly, like probably close to 2 weeks, is I've been taking the color Smoke Show, which is this really deep, dark, neutral brown at the top here, with a small angled brush, and I've been using that as my liner. So I get some on my brush. I do tap off the excess. You're gonna have a little bit of fallout probably if you do this, so just be prepared to brush that away. And I'm gonna see if I can do this without getting in the way too much of the camera, but it's really hard to not. It's extremely pigmented, so you want to be careful with the placement of it at first. Can you guys see that fallout that I'm getting? It's really, really a deep, dark color. Grab a little bit more. I like this because it's a slightly more diffused liner look than like a pencil liner traditionally is. So it's kind of nice for the summer months because it also tends to stay put a little bit better than like a creamy liner does. Those tend to want to melt on me. Okay. Take a fluffy brush and then just kind of get rid of that excess. Yep, looks the same. The last thing that I'm going to do for this pop of color, because I know some of you are like, use color. So I have this L'Oreal Infallible eyeshadow in Endless Sea, and what I'm going to do is pop that in the lower lash line, which is my favorite place to do a pop of color on me personally. You can certainly put this on your lid. You can put it in your upper lash line. You can use a little bit of it in the crease. I really, like I said, prefer the lower lash line for a pop of color on me. So what I'm going to do is take a flat definer brush and a little bit of the product, get underneath the lashes there, and press that into the lash line. I don't go all the way to my inner corner. You certainly could if you wanted, but I tend to stop where the lashes stop growing. These Infallibles do work a little bit better when you are pressing them into your lid with your finger, but you can make them work with a brush. You're just not getting quite as much of a color impact if you use a brush. But that's fine. You can definitely see that there's some color on the lower lash line. Again, take your brush and get rid of some of that excess. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up my mascara, and then I will come back and show you guys the finished product. Alright guys, here is the finished eye look. I'm really happy with how this turned out. It is a great everyday neutral eye look. You don't have to do this pop of color in the bottom lash line. If you wanted to keep it super neutral, just use the Jet Setter shade, which is what we used in our crease first, and smudge that along the lower lash line. It adds a little bit of definition without looking like a stark line of dark shadow or liner underneath there. So overall, this palette is fantastic. I'm glad that I decided to grab it for my weekly, well, 2 to 3 week beauty basket. Let's be real here, I don't switch that out all that often, but it's been a lot of fun to use, and I've gotten a lot of great neutral eye looks. This one tends to be my favored look in terms of the colors that I used, but there are, like I said, great neutrals, great warms, and great, cooler tones in here as well. There's just a lot of variety. It's one of those palettes that, people were really excited about it when it first came out, and then the hype kind of died away when other things started coming out. But if you've always thought about picking this up, it's a great palette for the price. Like I said, there's only one dud in here, which is this Funny Girl shade, but the rest of them are extremely pigmented. They go on beautifully with brushes. Just a great formulation. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know if you have any questions down below. I will be doing a drugstore tutorial hopefully later on this week if filming works out. I should have that up for you possibly on Thursday. So fingers crossed. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.